Continuing on with the Clone Wars and the Obi-Wan undercover arc, I hopped on over to the next episode on the list, Season 4, Episode 16, Friends and Enemies. As we know from the previous episode, Obi-Wan has gone undercover and has assumed the identity of an assassin by the name of Hardeen. Obi-Wan escaped prison with Cad Bane and Moralo Ival, and now the three of them are on the run. The episode opens up with the three fugitives crashing on a planet, and in their orange jumpsuits they begin to traverse the terrain of the swamp as the ship they escaped on begins to sink into the muck. The three of them find a bazaar where they're hoping to change out of their prison jumpsuit for some civilian clothes. Cad Bane employs some strong arm tactics here. He says everyone on the planet is an outlaw, which definitely appears to be the case. He says that the bazaar that they went to has everything a bounty hunter would want. The entire planet has a dark and dreary air to it. The security forces are seen roughing up groups of civilians. The planet has a sense of lawlessness. No one even bats an eye at three individuals wearing orange prison jumpsuits walking down the street. I like locations like this in Star Wars. In fact, I prefer them to the bright and shiny world of Coruscant. I've always enjoyed the seedy underbelly of the Star Wars universe more than anything else, and this location fits right in. The planet that they're on is Now Hutta. I didn't realize this until I looked it up. I didn't realize it was Now Hutta. I don't remember them saying the name of the planet, at least up until this point, but Now Hutta is the homeworld of the Hutts, and the homeworld of the Hutts is a fun place to explore. So Cad Bane tells Moralo that when they acquire what they need, they're gonna ditch Hardeen and give him to the Hutts. As we know, Hardeen is actually Obi-Wan Kenobi. We cut to Obi-Wan looking to purchase a ship. He sticks a tracking beacon on the ship. Bane and Moralo board the ship. Bane sprays gas in Obi-Wan's face and they leave him behind. And Obi-Wan is now in the custody of the Hutts. There's no honor among thieves. I didn't expect Obi-Wan to actually get separated from the other two, but he does. And it adds a nice change of pace. The tracking beacon will keep an eye on them. Obi-Wan is in a predicament, helpless, at least at first it seems that way, but he gives the Hutts the frequency of the tracking beacon and the Hutts begin to fire on the escaping craft. Bane and Moralo are forced to turn back. We cut to Obi-Wan escaping his shackles by using the Force. He sneaks around and is able to contact Mace Windu and Yoda. Obi-Wan says he must win over Cad Bane in order to learn more about the plot. He then tells them no matter what they hear, no matter what the reports say, do not send help. Obi-Wan is fully committed to this and willing to sacrifice everything to see it come to an end. Obi-Wan's request was certainly heard and might even be honored, but my guess is that once Anakin eventually gets wind of this plot, that is, if he ever gets wind of this plot, then he'll launch a search and rescue attempt. Regardless, I like this. I like the idea of Obi-Wan being so deep undercover, telling his fellow Jedi not to interfere or help in any way. It shows full commitment to the plan. It shows that Obi-Wan is putting the needs of the many, as he sees it, among his own personal well-being. We cut to Palpatine talking to Anakin. Palpatine is stoking Anakin's anger. He tells Anakin, after Anakin says the Jedi are doing nothing and keeping him in the dark, that perhaps they don't trust him. These moments are some of my favorite in the show. When we see the chess pieces slowly being put into place, Palpatine playing the long game with Anakin, stoking doubt about the Jedi system and the anger that Anakin feels. Of course, I wish there were more moments like this, but when we do see it, and knowing how everything unfolds in the end, it's interesting to see the seeds slowly being planted. Palpatine tells Anakin that he heard the three fugitives were last seen on Now Hutta, and he encourages Anakin to seek them out. So Anakin decides to take matters into his own hands. Will this be a case of Anakin ruining a deep undercover plot hatched by the Jedi? Like when a cop is undercover and is arrested or approached by a cop who is not in the know, he has no idea that this other cop is an actually undercover cop, and he inadvertently blows the cover of the undercover agent. It seems like that's the direction this might be going. We cut back to Cad Bane and Moralo, and they meet up with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is able to convince them to bring him along, tells them they won't be able to leave the planet without him. So, we see Anakin and Ahsoka land on Now Hutta. There's a line that made me chuckle. Ahsoka asks how they're gonna find the fugitives, and Anakin says, if you want to find a lowlife, and Ahsoka finishes the sentence by saying, you start at the saloon. Cantinas, like real-world bars, especially in small towns, are kind of like the water cooler of the society. Gossip is spread, bar patrons share way too much with the bartenders. If there's a place to start looking for three fugitives on Now Hutta, the bar is certainly a good start. Anakin enters the bar and without hesitation begins to use the Force to disarm the guards. He chokes the bartender for information. He's becoming more and more Darth Vader. No negotiations, using brute force to get what he wants, impatient, reckless, and going against the grain. We see Mace Windu talking to Palpatine via hologram. Palpatine tells Mace that Anakin went to Now Hutta, and that he's trying to unfoil the plot and find the fugitives. This worries Mace Windu and Yoda. Everything they've put into place could be compromised, but it's at this point, I think realistically, they should have told Anakin of the plot. His lack of knowledge of the plot, mixed with his anger and recklessness, could jeopardize the entire operation. Maybe he's completely out of communication. I'm not too sure if that was mentioned in the show, but if that's the case, cool. But if not, I think he should have been told of the plot. Well shit, maybe not. Because he'd probably relay that information to Palpatine, right? After all, they're close. He doesn't seem to keep anything from Palpatine and fully trusts him, so I don't know. I guess it's a double-edged sword. But if Anakin is running full steam ahead towards who he believed killed his best friend, and the assassin is actually his best friend who is undercover to root out an enormous plot on the Chancellor's life, it would probably be best to brief him on the situation. But who knows? So Anakin talks to the guy who sold a ship to the fugitives, finds out that they'll be going to Orandia, and I like the reason they're going to Orandia. It turns out the seller of the ship only gave them enough fuel to get to Orandia, where the seller's brother lives and operates a refueling station. A little racket they got going on. Anakin and Ahsoka pop up next to the fugitive ship and give chase. Anakin jumps on the fugitive ship, Cad Bane fights back, the ships crash. Ultimately, the fight ends with Obi-Wan putting Anakin to sleep and leaving with Bane and Moralo. When Anakin wakes up, he tells Ahsoka that he sensed a connection. He says Obi-Wan is still alive. I thought this episode was pretty solid, especially now that Anakin has entered into the mix. He was unable to sit idly by because, as he perceived it, the Jedi Council was doing nothing to find Obi-Wan's killer. See, Anakin's ignorance to the situation is dangerous, because Anakin himself is dangerous to the survival of the operation. By him not knowing anything of the plot, his actions are detrimental. He doesn't know that, of course. He's acting completely rationally. He sees nothing being done, he's pissed off, he wants justice, he wants revenge. Anakin's emotions are understandable. His actions are justified even. But they are disruptive to the plot that is unfolding. I have no idea where this arc is leading. I really can't predict how any of this is going to turn out, at least step by step. I can guess that everything will end up okay in the end. Bane and Moralo will probably be back in prison, but I have no idea how Anakin is going to play into all of it. And for that unknown factor, I am extremely excited to see how it all unfolds. HelloGreedo, out.